welcome to Irreplaceable by AI, the podcast about the skilled professionals, tradespeople, and service providers whose work cannot simply be automated away. Today I'm joined by Julia Mack, founder of Julia Mack Design, a Brooklyn-based residential interior design studio working across Brooklyn, Manhattan, Upper Westchester, and the Hudson Valley. Julia has more than 20 years of professional interior design experience with both undergraduate and graduate training in interior design, plus a decade of corporate design expertise in color, materials, and selection. Her work ranges from simple redecorating to full gut renovations, and she's known for creating homes that deeply livable. Spaces that combine client personality, vintage, and new pieces, strong lighting, proportion, texture, and practical function. Her projects have been featured by Houzz, Apartment Therapy, Brownstoner, and Design Brooklyn. So with Julia, we'll talk about what is changing in interior design, what AI can and cannot do, how she built her business, and why the human side of design is still impossible to replace. Julia, welcome to Irreplaceable by AI.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's so nice to be here.
So, Julia, before we get into design, AI, and business, how would you describe what you do to someone who thinks interior design is mostly about choosing beautiful furniture?
Well, it is about that. It is about beautiful furniture, but it is also about so much more. Oftentimes, what I'll do is I'll step into someone's home and I will do a quick analysis as to how the place really it looks, how it's functioning, and what we can do to improve it. And I try to break things down into a very, very simple, easy to understand little into little pieces. And so one of the first things that we discuss is how the lighting is working in the space. Does the sun come in the morning through the front windows? Maybe goes around the entire space and comes in the afternoon in the back? Or are you blocked by a building? Are you blocked by a neighbor? Is there something we can do to enhance the natural lighting? And if not, what can we do to add lighting to the space so that on a gray or gloomy day, your space still feels light and bright, and then every single evening, what can we do to make the space feel warm and cozy? So that's actually a start with lighting. We talk about function and how is your space working for you, which is a very individualized type of approach. A space that works for me may not work for you. Maybe you've got, some little kids running around. Maybe there's a pet. Maybe you have lots of visitors. Maybe there's an elderly person. You really have to check and make sure that your spaces, each one is functioning exactly the way that you need it to work. And so that's a very interesting conversation. We also talk about balance and proportion, color, paint, wallpaper, texture, how to add it in different types of accent colors, throw pillows. We do all of that, but also occasionally I will also do bathroom and kitchen renovations if you can pull me in with some good decorating. So that's actually all within the very first visit.
That's quite a lot of things to think and to take care about. And I think this is exactly where professionals like you excel and need their unique expertise, sense of taste, empathy. Um, but we will talk more about this also. But right now, I want to go with something like general question related to your trade. So, From your perspective, what are the biggest changes happening in residential interior design today?
I would say that one big transition that's been a long time coming is really incorporating CAD, computer-aided design, into everything. I do a little old school sketching, which I have found that my clients love. To step into a space and start sketching three-dimensionally is just it's magical. I mean, people are just transfixed. But taking those sketches and actually turning them into good CAD drawings is, essential. And at this point, clients really expect full color renderings. They expect good, uh, good floor plans. I mean, nothing that is just hand drawn, but I do start a conversation by, uh, showing off my sketching skills, and it really does it's that old expression, "A picture tells 1,000 words," it really is a great communication tool. So, by not being able to sketch, I think that actually professional interior designers are missing out on an amazing way to communicate with clients very, very, very quickly. So that would I would say is the number one thing.
Do you see this is as a generational shift that new generation of designers are not good in sketching or don't do this at all?
Yes, I have seen that. And I like to, y your sketches do not need to be masterpieces. They just need to be proportionally correct, and that honestly is a learned skill. To be a professional artist is just a whole nother level, but to be able to sketch just very, very quickly in a three-dimensional way is a great skill, and I have to say, I do think it's a learnable skill for someone who wants to be a good professional interior designer.
And where in all this comes AI, if any? Are you seeing clients or designers use these tools in regards to interior design?
It's an excellent tool. I mean, AI is a perfect tool to move your work forward. However, I have to say that there is no replacing original content. I mean, everybody's home is different. So every project is the base of it is original content. And really, AI can't catch you on original content. I use AI for it as a tool, but what I am creating is an original composition, an original design, an original piece of great livable design, livable work. Good example would be every once in a while, someone calls me, they're in a pinch. They want to renovate something, they want to do something, and what are my thoughts about this? And they'll plop a little photo onto my screen, and it's like, oh, that looks like a good start of a mid-century modern bathroom, for example, and it fits in with the style of your mid-century modern home. Let's just Google mid-century bathrooms and see what comes up. And what you get, AI just delivers you a lot of great images. Now, granted, you don't just take an image and turn it into a real life. AI can give me 25 great ideas, but really what I want is just a little piece from here, a little piece from there that really creates a sum total that is unique and the perfect answer to that client's needs.
And when we speak about design trends, so you just mentioned putting like on the picture that you see on your display. So w- I wonder how big is the gap between what is looking good online but not always working well in real homes. So are there any design trends right now that look good online but not really applicable in reality?
Sure. I mean, I think understanding a space three-dimensionally is very different than looking at an image online. And understanding how you move through a space, how the light works in a space, as I had said, how a space functions is a three-dimensional world of real life. An image is obviously flat. And so I will oftentimes have clients that they will go online and they will find wallpaper, for example. And I look at this wallpaper, I'm like, "Yeah, it looks great on my computer screen." I'll get a sample. The scale is off, the color is off, the proportions, the quality is just not so it's very it's oftentimes people get pulled in, they get seduced by the beauty of this design, this wallpaper design, for example. And then when you see it in real life, you realize that there is nothing about this that's going to work. I mean, it just so you get these very, very beautiful online scenarios, vignettes. And in real life, it works, it doesn't work, it works. Like, you have to really see it three-dimensionally in real life. So that's a trend that people think that just because they see it online, it's going to work for them. And really, I try to put all the pieces together and explain to people, yes, this is a great choice because, or no, this is never gonna work because I never just put something out there and not give them a good reason why.
Probably could be a really good if, let's say, AI could be used to convert the sketches or the ideas which are kind of looking flat into quick 3D rendering to give this the feel of spacing. I don't know if there is already something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I do that. I actually do that. I will take a sketch, a three-dimensional sketch, and yes, it will be a three-dimensional beautiful rendering, but I try to just for my own for my clients, I really present only good ideas. I'm happy to have my clients shop online, but I have learned really if I'm bringing lots of things to a presentation and there's something in there that I feel like is just a little off color-wise, proportion-wise, I do not show them and I do not put that anything like that into a rendering because that's really not promoting good design. And what I want more than anything is my intent to come through, but I want my clients to approve it and understand why they like it, why I chose it. And that's what gives you that sense of my house. It is their home. I want them to really feel like they're living in a space that I mean, I assisted them obviously, but that they were a big part of the design on. And that's where people feel proud. They feel happy. They want to have friends over. They want to have people come visit. Oftentimes when I'm stepping into someone's space for the first time, they do not want anyone over. They don't want anyone to see their space. And usually it's because they just haven't taken the time. They've been swamped with work, busy with kids, busy with elder care, busy with life, and they haven't taken the time. So I'll step in, places will be absolutely upside down, but there's hope. There's something. We can do something with it. And that's where that relationship comes in and the trust and the good ideas that I can bring in.
Well, obviously, touching personal space, this is intimate space. This is a lot about building trust and deeper connection.
Yeah. I do focus, when I step in, I do have a few things that I try to focus my client on. One is a good design concept. And what a concept is a mind's eye view of what the space will look like when it's done. And the way that I do that is I bring a notebook filled with images, with really good ideas, things that I find in magazines, things I find online, things I can just put into a notebook so we can turn each page and talk about the colors, the materials, the lighting, what gives you a good sense when you look at that image, at that picture. And I draw a lot from that. It's never one picture that tells the whole story. It's just that feeling you get, and we take a little piece of this, a little piece of that, and that's how we blend it all up and mix it into a brand new design. So that's a design concept. I also talk to people about balance and proportion and scale. And I talk to people about an elevation. So in design, that an elevation is really when you look straight at a wall and you look from the top left to the top right to the bottom left, the bottom right, top to
Sure.
bottom, how that elevation can work and what we can do to make that an impactful. And we do that with balance and proportion, net positive and negative space. So if you put a large picture up on a wall, the picture is the positive and it's all the space around the picture that's the negative. And those are a few of the things that we talk about and how to make those impactful and work in a space.
Well, this requires a lot of one thing we mentioned. There is a lot of trust and human touch, but definitely there is a lot of knowledge and experience about those concepts that you just mentioned, about the balance and of course the design taste. But how do you first find your way into interior design? Was there a moment when you knew this was the work you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think I knew it about the age of, like, 3 or
Well,
4. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a child, my parents, decided that they wanted to throw a block party. They wanted to invite all the neighbors over for July 4th, big celebration, and there was only one rule. No one was allowed in the house. So it's a very interesting way to throw a party if you're not letting anyone in. And what they did was I was a small child. I went to bed that one night, woke up the next morning, and they had transformed the garage into a living room. They had pulled, obviously, the cars out and all the things that you typically have in a garage, and what they did was they put down a large area rug. They brought in some sofas that actually came from the basement, and they added lighting, they added some shelving, they just turned that entire garage into a living room. They opened the garage door up, and the party was inside the garage, and then it spilled out onto the, driveway. And it was sort of a standard suburban house, and so the driveway was long enough, the neighbors saw each other there, they came. I think they were probably serving beverages and food, like, in an adjacent space, which I would guess was just like the laundry room, but people really were not in the house, and as a little kid, I stepped in there, and it blew my mind. I'm like, "This is the greatest thing ever." And I still remember it. I still remember how impactful that was, and I do think that was the start of interior design as a career for me.
amazing story. But after years in the field, what still keeps you excited about designing homes?
Creativity, the creative aspect of it, that it's never boring. It's everyone brings their own interest into their home, and that just having these like guidelines is enough to then use as a jumping off point for good creative design. And one of the things that I'm proud of is that my projects all look different from each other. I want their spaces to look like an extension of who they are. So a few years back, I had a client that was really a great traveler, a huge world traveler. Her profession and her interests and her ability to travel was just really, she made a she made it a lifetime goal. And so she had a collection of beautiful hand carved small um statues and interesting little hand woven baskets and fantastic book collection, travel books. She just had so much, and we could incorporate all of that into a not very large apartment because we were able to edit beautifully, find exactly the right shelving, find exactly the way to display the things that were important to her. And her place looks like her. That works universally for everybody. No matter what it is, we can find something that someone loves about a color, a pattern, a design, and we can incorporate that in so that they feel comfortable in their space, which is really very important to me. If I design the space without them, the space looks like me, and I don't live there. It should look like them because it's their space.
It's actually interesting. Some people are talkative and very open about what they want. But have you encountered people who were saying kind of we trust your choice, but at the same time holding back and not saying everything that they expect? And how did you kind of get to the bottom?
So it's a collaborative experience, or that's what I strive for. I strive for a collaborative experience. And oftentimes I'll step into someone's space and there's more than one person that's living there. It's a husband and wife. It's every version of family life you can imagine. And not everybody feels comfortable with me chit-chatting about their stuff in their life. And, I have found that the person that is behind contacting me, the person who really is the one that reaches out, is oftentimes the person who is the most excited to sit down with me and listen, and that significant other is usually kinda hovering around and a little uncertain, and by the time we have a couple more meetings, that person typically comes around. Or if they don't, then they are relinquishing their voice in making these decisions. But it is usually the person who contacts me. I had a client contact me who is he's a Wall Street person, which is common here, especially here in downtown Brooklyn. And he said that, after a long day, he is just beat and he walks into space and his apartment is upside down. And I took a look at it and it's like, yeah, you're right. This place is upside down. And so I sat with him, I sat with his wife. She wasn't that excited to meet me at the start. I showed them some great ideas. She ultimately did come around. He was really the one that instigated it. And the first thing we did when we made a purchase was get him a chair that he felt really super comfortable in. He chose that big Eames chair with the ottoman, and that really was the start of a great design concept for their apartment.
Great. Um, Moving more not into design itself, but more to the business side of work. So when you started building your own design business, you created a company. What surprised you most about the business side of the work?
When I was starting this business, I just took a good hard look at where my skills lie and how much paperwork I really wanted to do in my life. And did I want to charge for all of that back paperwork? And ultimately, what I decided to do was simplify things down so that my time that I spend with my clients or that I'm charging my clients for is time that is dedicated to design, to research, to follow up, to contacting with them, to meetings with them, and I was not going to charge them for any of my billing, for any of my contacts with my own accountant. I wasn't gonna charge them for any of the time that it took to balance my own books. So I simplified my business to the point where I am really only charging them for my work with them. I'm charging them an hourly fee, and incorporated into all of that is all of the back office stuff that I do. I also offer, I don't know if I should say this, but I do offer, there is a trade discount that, that design professionals get, and I do offer that to my clients. So I'm charging them by the hour, and then I also offer this discount off of retail.
Well, I think a lot of your clients appreciate this, and I think one side is simplicity, but also managing expectations. So there is no kind of like a sticker shock. But
Correct.
if we speak about managing expectations, how do you handle clients who change their minds? How does it change the scope? Like you need to put more time to redo things, for instance.
Yeah. I do have clients that change their mind, and oftentimes what this is, it's a journey, and there is a learning curve that people who are not familiar with design need to achieve. Some people need to wander more through lots of ideas, lots of colors, lots of images, lots of and I give them, a very long, wide, broad leash to do that. And what that means is sometimes, yeah, this was a great idea from the start, but we have evolved since then. We've meandered our way to this point that we're realizing that when you try to add up all the pieces, the entryway, the living room, the dining room, the family room, the bedrooms, all of that needs to work together. And if we started out with like one direction and then we're realizing that we're going too far and the whole place is all the color blue, we gotta mix that up a little bit. It's up to me to take this journey with them, and they know that as they're changing their mind. I mean, I am billing them by the hour, and I am trying my hardest to be cost conscious because I have found that no matter how much money people have, they do get tired. They get a sense of design fatigue where you get tired of writing the checks, you get tired of paying the bills. So I do try to let people wander, but also I feel like it's my job to keep the project moving forward.
That's really great. Look for the balance because it's a lot about creativity also, and I believe this is exploration, or is to say wandering part. It's hard to fix initially into certain time frame or even budget. But speaking about the other part of your business, your work depends on many moving parts: clients, contractors, vendors, deliveries, installers, tradespeople. So, what are the hardest parts of scheduling and coordination?
I work really hard to have a good relationship with contractors. I feel as though I want them on my side. I want an open dialogue with every contractor that I'm working with. I want to have confidence in them, and I want them to know that they've got confidence in me. And I they they oftentimes do not let me down. I'm careful to specify things that they have an understanding of, that they approve. I go out of my way to really sit down with a contractor before we order light fixtures, for example. Hardwired light fixtures need to be installed correctly and they need to work. And manufacturers, once it's received on site, they are reluctant to take it back. I mean, these are no returns. It works the same way with plumbing and so I try before there's an order placed to sit down with a contractor and say, Do you believe that this light fixture is going to work in this space? I need it. I'm happy to specify it with any type of wiring that you want. I will specify it with all the bulbs, with any other things that you need, dimmers. But I want you to give me the okay before we send it out because I do not want this to sit because you can't install it. So that's a very open dialogue, and that is reality in your face. I mean, that is just the reality of making sure that what you are specifying will arrive on site on time, in good shape, and can be installed by a contractor. And they need to approve those things.
So if you compare all the different components of your work, working with clients, scheduling, financial part, communications, what would be the number one challenge or bottleneck for you?
Couples that don't agree. Couples that are having their own marriage issues, couples where one person in this couple is a doubter. They don't believe that the design world is worth the time, worth the money. Occasionally, there is someone who's really a doubter and a downer, and they just can't get their mind around it. I have to walk away from a situation like that. End up being the scapegoat. I end up being the person who is to blame for everything. And so if I step into a situation where I feel like I'm designing for more than one person, more than one adult in particular, I need to know that they're both on board. They don't have to be on board at the same level, but they need to be believers. They need to know that we are going to create a space that will make them happy to live in, make them proud to share with people, make a space that will function better than they ever thought it would. And, I would say that has been, the biggest obstacle for sure.
Do you feel that people sometimes reaching out to you and not so much for the goal of changing the design or the uh, environment where they live in, but as a kind of way to save their relationships?
I've gotten pretty good at sensing that. I also have a friend that is a marriage counselor, and I will lean on her if I feel like there's something that is not working. She gives me great advice for how to navigate between a situation that is salvageable versus one that's not. I should hire her as a consultant for
I
myself
I just
because
I just thought you could offer this combo package,
that's
design plus the
Design plus
counseling.
the counseling.
couples counseling on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten pretty good at it. She truly is a professional, but I will really I will call her on a regular basis if I feel like something's up, and she will guide me through a situation that she feels like is can work versus a situation that I gotta walk away from.
Well, this is really great. Um, the more we speak and deeper we get into it, uh, the more I see how many different aspects are involved into your work, from the human side to the admin part. But if we speak about this admin part, you just mentioned the biggest challenge for you uh, is coming from this kind of couples. But if we speak about admin work, scheduling, all those kind of things, in that area, where do you see the biggest challenge?
I would say that if somebody really delays a purchase, I try to show good options that are all readily available. Occasionally, things are discontinued, or the lead time is just way too long. And sometimes clients actually sit on their hands and they stall a project for one reason or another, and things are no longer available. So it makes me look bad if I'm presenting stuff that is not available to them. So I really go out of my way to keep a project moving along, just to be certain that the things that are approved are available. And I try to I have favorites. I have some very, very reliable resources, very reliable salespeople, um, that are that will work with me, and they'll give me the heads up if it seems like there's something that they know that I like that is not available. So that kinda creates a bottleneck right there.
I see. All right, so we approached to the final part of our podcast, which is rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So, short question, short answer. Are you ready?
Ready.
What is one book that has influenced how you work?
Dale Carnegie, how to what is it? To make friends and influence people? That's a good one because I feel like I am a salesperson at heart.
Yeah, I know that book as well. Don't remember exactly the name though.
Yeah, yeah, it's something I have it on my shelf, I can run and get it, but this is rapid fire, so I won't.
All right. What is one tool, software, uh, mobile app you rely on in your work?
Um, Revit is works really well for me.
All right. What is one piece of advice you would give to another creative professional or service provider trying to build a stronger business?
Professional photography. Professional having your work professionally photographed and getting it out into the world is a great business builder. Getting it out into the world in the form of a portfolio and a website where, people can really, really go through your work and see it. An educated client is really what you want. Someone that's looked at other people's things, someone that has interviewed other people and that they chose you because they have seen other things that are out there and feel as though you're the best choice for them.
All right. And what is one helps you stay organized, creative, or grounded?
Um, I would say I do a lot of work on Pinterest, and I just Pinterest alone, I have a board for every one of my clients. Each one of those boards is broken down by room, by category. I'm able to link each one of those images to the actual website so I can get all the specifications immediately at my fingertips.
All right. And the final question, where can people find you and reach out to you?
People can find me via my website, Julia Mack Design. I am also an advertiser on Houzz, which is Houzz. I am in the directory. Occasionally, I will pop up if you say interior designers near me. There are lots of different other avenues that people can take, but it's primarily Julia Mack Design. Julia Mack Design.
All right. Julia, thank you for joining us on Irreplaceable by AI.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. Thank you for your time.